Hi folks, welcome to the Prepared Homestead. This is Travis. Thank you all for stopping by to watch. Well, as you all I'm sure are aware, the news coming out of the Middle East doesn't look good. The escalation is continuing, and it's not just the escalation necessarily between Israel and Gaza and Hamas, but it's starting to look like very much a global thing. And it's very possible and likely that the United States and several other components of the West are going to get drawn into this. And I think that most of you probably would agree that that's probably the motive behind all of this. I think it would almost seem silly when you really start to think about it that Hamas would go to these extreme, grotesque, evil levels to conduct the things that they're doing or that they did in Israel for no reason whatsoever. Knowing that if at some point Israel's going to come and retaliate in a most extreme way, and all of their efforts would be in vain, I guess some would say. I personally feel that it's very much orchestrated probably by Iran, and who knows how much China and Russia and the rest of the BRICS bloc might be behind this to draw the West in, to draw the United States in. Because if they can get the United States involved into another conflict, then that's going to open the doorways for China to make their move on Taiwan if the United States is busy in Ukraine and in the Middle East. It could just... I mean, it's like a floodgate just about ready to burst when it comes to the possibilities of things rapidly expanding because of what's happening in Israel and in that region. As you all know, we've sent one naval fleet carrier group over there. There's talk of sending a second carrier group. NATO has sent one of their naval units over there, several ships involved. Greece sent some frigates over there. There's more and more. The 101st Airborne is being deployed into Jordan, which is a rapid response unit. There's the special operations units in Europe have gone on high alert, and it is rumored, they're saying that they're sending special operations and negotiating units and stuff into Israel. It's very likely, at least the news is reporting, I think it makes sense that these could be either a mixture of one or the other or both of Delta Force or SEAL Team 6 or DevGru, which is what they're actually called. It's also being talked that at least the U.S. government has said that they have not ruled out sending units like Delta Force, DevGru, or some other type of special forces unit into Gaza to potentially secure the remaining Americans that are in that country. And we know, at least according to the State Department, that there are several U.S. citizens being held hostage there. So we're seeing things just kind of, expand. Israel said that they're on the verge of initiating the ground war into Gaza, that they're going to start putting boots on the ground. Up until now, Egypt and Iran and Saudi Arabia and several other countries have warned that Israel should not do that, that if that happens, it's going to escalate things even more. And of course, you've got people from all over the world really saying that they'd go in there and fight for Hamas. You've got the Taliban trying to get there. You've got Hezbollah. You've got the Chechenian military is saying that they would go to Gaza to fight with Hamas. So there's a big expansion there. All of this is just going to continue having a ripple effect. It's going to get out of control to the point that I don't know that there's much stopping it. It may already be at that point, that there's much of anything that can stop this, at least for a while until all the dust settles. This idea of, well, maybe someone will step in and call for a ceasefire. It's not going to happen, folks. I would be absolutely shocked if that happened. I would be more likely to believe that Russia would give up of what raised the white flag with Ukraine than before this happening. So we're going to see this for a while. Yesterday, Israel said that they are preparing for a months-long ground war in Gaza. So we're talking a lot of entanglement there that we as the United States are going to be involved in, which means funding, weapons sent over, potential ground sources, troops and stuff like that. We as a government, as the United States government, are going to be much more likely to become directly involved in this than in Ukraine. I could see that very easily happening. The U.S. government's ties to Ukraine is much bigger, and I could see us becoming more involved in that, which again is going to put, China and Taiwan in an area where China could easily make a move. They could see the diversion and make a move. There's a lot of diversions going on. There's a lot of things going on. I mean, what's happening with the Biden impeachment? Who's talking about that? What about the economy? Here we are in debt, and now we're in massive amounts of debt to the point that we're on the brink of collapse, and we're going to start going into even more and more debt. Already today, they announced another $200 million being sent to Ukraine. Weapons packages and aid packages being sent to Israel. Janet Yellen even said that we maybe could have a soft landing unless the conflict in Israel gets worse. Well, it's going to get worse, folks. So you can pretty much interpret that as that we're not going to see a soft landing. And then I know you already know that. I know that. It's not been a soft landing so far. Why would we expect that? The point is that the very real possibility of inflation starting to uprise, which we're seeing that. The producer price inflation came out today, and it's increased, and we'll probably continue to see that increase. Interest rates will most likely continue to go up. A lot of things are just not looking good. Now, before you think that I'm just on here just giving you all the negative news to get you down so that, it's horrible. Well, it is horrible, but the point that I'm trying to get to is that this is all being orchestrated. And most definitely there are innocent lives being lost and that have lost. And that's horrible. And the brutality and the barbaric things that most of you have seen over the last few days are absolutely horrible, okay? I completely agree with that, but everything I think that we're seeing, it's all a big orchestration. It's a big orchestration to get us to the point of, 2030, guys, Great Reset, New World Order stuff. And for any of you that's been kind of on the fence of whether or not we were gonna go that direction, or it was a certain thing, or anything like that, I hope that what you're seeing play out right now kind of wakes you up in realizing that this is gonna happen, okay? I mean, and I think it has to happen, almost has to happen biblically too. And so we have to start taking things seriously. I know that most of you are. I get the feedback every day. I'm doing everything that I can, and that's great. But there's a lot of you that aren't doing everything you can, and you should probably be should be doing a little bit more. Right now, some of the best things that you can do is just stocking up a little bit more on stuff, making sure, things, and I mentioned this yesterday. I know I'm a repeating, broken record here, but I think right now it's a good thing to just repeat this often. We've got cold weather coming on in the next season, right? So we're headed into the cold season. So make sure things like fuel, heat, clothing, vehicles are in optimal running condition, winterizing things. Make sure that's done, because we don't know how the supply chain is going to be affected over the next few months. So it may be difficult to get some of that stuff. Ammunition, firearms, food, water, medicine, medical supplies, bandages, things like that. Make sure you've got that kind of stuff. Water sources, make sure you have that. The possibility of seeing violence here in the United States, I think it's just about now at the point that pretty much everyone agrees that that's likely. In fact, just yesterday, the leader of Hamas called for global rallies all over the world by Hamas supporters. This could also be interpreted as global jihad, although I don't believe he exactly said that. It's it's hard to know, you know, it was in their language, and so trying to get the correct interpretation of it. But he's definitely calling for people to stand up and cry out and push back and fight back against, you know, the West this Friday. So could this Friday be a day of craziness or even to the point of violence? It's possible. We're already seeing large rallies in Michigan, New York, several other countries. We're seeing people, you know, speak out in support of the Palestinian effort and even potentially violent efforts. So the likelihood that things could start happening here are pretty great. And even, you know, you might say, well, we're a big country, you know, if that's on the other side of the country, why do I need to prepare? I mean, that would be bad, right? It would be really bad if there were these massive attacks and stuff in New York or, you know, Minnesota or Michigan or Florida or, you know, wherever. But is that really affecting me? Yeah, it most likely will. Look at it this way. For those of you old enough to remember, after 9/11, look at the reaction of the American people. They just allowed the U.S. government to just ramrod the most intrusive, unconstitutional legislation through, and then they accepted it. They almost craved it. They wanted that security. Please do these things to protect us from these bad people that want to hurt us. And then just 3 years ago, everyone panicked over a cough, and most people were begging, please lock us down, please put stuff in our bodies, please restrict our lives to protect us from this scary thing. That's going to happen again, but very possibly on an even greater and grander scale. If we start seeing random attacks, whether they just be violent things, warlike attacks, attacks to infrastructure, the response and the begging of the response from the American people, I suspect, will be great. And we could very easily see some type of lockdown measures, even up to and including martial law. So yeah, I think that we could see a lot of stuff happening. This is much bigger than just some little regional conflict between Israel and Hamas. It's much bigger than that. And I think that we've just begun, folks. There's no way that we're close to the end of it or halfway through or anything like that. So it's time for us to buckle up and to get ready. Economically, things are probably going to start getting even worse. Supply chain stuff worse. Freedom stuff worse. They're gonna try to say, well, we got to take guns, we got to, you know, restrict movement, we got to, you know, enforce identifications, all this kind of stuff. The amount of illegals and sleeper cells that are in this country just are mind-blowing. So the likelihood that those, at least portions of those, could react is great. And then the possibility of going into some big World War III scenario is even bigger. So it's a lot. It's not doomsday, it's not negative, it's just flat out reality, and we have to get ready. We have to start preparing ourselves for this, because I think we're in this for the long haul. I've been telling everyone for weeks, and there's been a lot of naysayers on here mocking me, but I've been saying for weeks that it's about to happen, that things are about to pop off. The intel that I was getting directly and the things that I was seeing spoken of online all fit together, and that things were about to pop off. It was going to get bad. And now here we are. Here we're at it. And we may not be feeling it directly right now, you and I, but it will. The ripple effects will eventually get to us. Right now it's just visual and emotional, but the actual effects to this will eventually reach us. And we got to be ready for that, folks. You need to be buckling up, stocking up, locking and loading, and doing the things that you know you need to do to get yourself ready for this. It's time to prepare yourselves, get your houses in order, and prepare mentally, physically, and spiritually. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video.